to the Loading Up Podcast. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Loading Up Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Producer Jay, along with my other co-host, Brother Zay. What's up, my friend?
Yo, what's up, man?
Not much. We are currently in the midst of another snowstorm in the tri-state area. So it's another cold one. So we bunkering in and holding tight, but we still providing for you guys. Before we get into all the stuff that we got going on today, just want to remind you that if you're watching on YouTube, you can like, comment, and subscribe. It'll definitely help us out. If you're listening to us on a podcasting app, you can share us and rate us with all your friends and family, and that'll make us happy. And if you look in the description, you can see our sponsors, which is W Energy and NordVPN. You could save some money off of subscriptions and products that will help you out and that will help us out, and it'll make everybody happy, because that's what we want. We want everybody to be happy. Enough of the kumbaya stuff. Brother Zay, what have you been playing?
Oh, man. Well, if you're watching on YouTube, you're going to watch me fail a lot at trying Overwatch again. I haven't played Overwatch in a long time, and it's had this sort of big resurgence with the new updates and all the new characters, so I wanted to give it a try. And I'll tell you this much, I know why I stopped playing. So I was playing a little bit of Overwatch, and then of course I'm playing some Call of Duty, and also I've been playing High on Life 2 a lot. I'm really enjoying High on Life 2. I feel like I'm getting toward like the end of the game. There's a lot of missable achievements that I want to pick up, so
How long is the game?
the game is not, you could probably beat it in like 25 hours tops, but like I'm exploring and trying to do all the like side stuff and missions and stuff, so it's taking a little bit longer. It's not a very long game. You can make it quick, you know. Technically you finish the game in like 3 minutes.
Well,
There's
yeah,
like,
I heard about that.
yeah, there's like that little secret ending, but no, it does take like about 20 to 25 hours, a little bit more if you want to do like all the extra stuff, and that's kind of what like I'm searching for, because there's a lot of content within the game that you could do besides just a story. So I'm
Nice.
playing that, and I think that's, I mean, you know, of course I always play like Rocket League and every now and then, but yeah, that's what I've been playing. What have you been
Nice.
playing?
You know me. It's the same old. I don't know why, like, I decided to go on this Kingdom Hearts journey now, because I feel like it's, while I enjoy the series, I was informed prior that it was gonna be like a slog in order to complete it. Not in terms of just like difficulty. Like that is, I wish it was just difficulty, because at least there'd be the challenge to it. It's just it takes forever to do stuff. And like I don't know about you, but like I have an issue where, like, if I'm not doing something new and exciting within like an hour, if I'm constantly doing the same thing over and over, then I get bored. Like I can't grind. That's my problem. I cannot grind. I used to. I used to be able to just like, because I played Pokemon games and shit, and
Yeah.
yeah, I was able to do that for like God knows how long. But now it's like, if I'm doing that for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and I'm not making any significant progress, I get bored. So like I'll be doing it because like right now I'm leveling up my character. It's like I gotta reach level 99. So like that's one of the achievements. So like I'm doing that, and if I'm still like doing it for like 30 minutes, I'm just like, let me see, do I have any messages, or let me see, did my wife text me, or it's like I don't know, like I gotta do something else. Like I can't just be doing that. And I try to like listen to podcasts and stuff like that, but it's just something in my brain where it's just like, stop, do something else. Um, but yeah, but I'm trying to power through. I'm almost there. Like I'm very, very close. And I want to be done with it. I want to move on. I want to play other stuff and not feel bad. Cuz that's the thing, cuz I feel like if I stop, I'm never going to get back to it. Um,
Yeah, I feel that. I feel
yeah.
that like in my soul.
Yes. So I got to just power through. So I've been stuck with that. I've been playing obviously like all the smaller games like at my job. Ball XP, Balatro. Those are like my quick pop in and play if you're for like 20 minutes just so I can like refresh and I don't feel like I'm only playing Kingdom Hearts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's the main thing I've been playing. Like it's been like that for the past few weeks and hopefully it'll be done soon.
Yeah, you need to finish it up. That way you can sort of like get out of it, play something else, refresh
I know, and the
your
thing is
palate.
yeah, I know. The thing is, so normally around this time is when the WWE games come out, and I always like jump into those games like head first. I'm playing it a lot, so like it's coming out soon. I think it comes out not next week, probably like 2 weeks, I think. Um, so I already know I'm gonna be playing that. So like I gotta finish this Kingdom Hearts thing, at least that part, so I don't feel bad about moving on to those games. But but yeah, so it's tough, man.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Well, I guess we'll jump right into the news. We don't have a lot to discuss, but we don't have many stories, but we have a lot to discuss. How about that? Let's jump right into Sony is shutting down Bluepoint Studios, the developers who of Demon Souls remake. So PlayStation acquired the studio back in 2021, um, and now in February, they're shutting it down. Over 70 employees will lose their jobs. I think they had like 80 or 90 employees at the studio. So the rest will probably just be absorbed into other different studios at Sony. But yeah, the official post or sort of like post from Bluepoint is Bluepoint Games is an incredibly talented team, and their technical expertise has delivered exceptional experiences for the PlayStation community, and we thank them for their passion, creativity, and craftsmanship. And yeah, so I this comes back off the heels of Bluepoint was making a God of War like live service game, and then that was canceled, and then they stopped. I guess it just stopped working on games in general, and Sony decided to close the studio. I don't know, man. This I felt like this decision was definitely just it's a weird one. I don't know if that was the right decision. What's up with you? What do you say?
So this is genuinely one of the more perplexing uh decisions by Sony. And I know like Sony has a history of making weird decisions, like especially with the whole live service stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and apparently, it's like speaking on that, like there was I don't know if it was a leak or a report that apparently it was Bluepoint that came to Sony with the live service God of War stuff, and
Mm,
you
interesting.
can yeah, it is questionable why they did that. Maybe they thought it would put them in a higher profile in Sony's eyes, like, cause a lot of people I mean, from a gamer's perspective, we don't see, like, a remake studio or remaster studio as anything that's bad, but maybe internally they thought, "Oh, we don't wanna be regulated to just making remakes and remasters of games." Like, we wanna actually do something different. We wanna show that we're not just that, we can, you know, pull our own weight, essentially. And maybe that was the thought process behind that, but outside of that, I don't know why they thought well, that was during the live service push, but we've seen plenty of examples of studios that are not fit for live service, doing live service and failing tremendously. So I don't know why they thought they would magically be able to pull it off, but um yeah, still, regardless of all that, Bluepoint Games did have a I guess a special place in like the gaming community in terms of the how fans perceive them, and I feel like they could have easily been like a tentpole studio for Sony.
Oh yeah.
But now like it just feels like anybody's open to being on the chopping block. Like I know there was talk that maybe Ben Studios might be next, and I know Sony's shut down a bunch of other studios, more on the lower end stuff, but this is the more like noteworthy one that's happened in a while. And I don't even know like what like why did Sony think it was more beneficial to just close the studio down as opposed to either selling them or like turning them into like an indie studio, like if they wanted to. Like I don't know the decisions making behind that and or how much it actually costs to do that, but I feel like that should be at least an option because we already saw what happened like with Xbox and Tango. Yeah, they shut them down, but that was at least from my perspective. We don't know the exact reasoning behind it. Um Apparently they tried to sell the studio and nobody was buying. So they just shut them down. But then eventually Crafton did end up buying it and the Hi-Fi Rush IP. So they were able to sell them off and now the studio is still, alive. But yeah, I
That
just
one's a little bit, so the that studio is a little bit different than this one's because I think their head of Tango Gameworks left and took some developers with him. So it was more like they didn't know the direction they could go with that studio because their former head left. So
right.
this one is a little bit different because Sony decided to close the studio. You know, their the official thing from Herman Hulse was rising development costs, slowed industry growth, and changing player behavior and broader economic headwinds are making it harder to build games sustainably. He said to navigate this reality, we need to continue adapting and evolving, and we've taken a close look at our business to ensure we've delivered today while still well positioned for the future. As a result, we'll be closing Bluepoint Games. Like it's all corporate speak for they're not making enough money for us. We're gonna just cut our losses now, basically, which sucks.
Yeah. I really don't I don't like that this is happening across the board. Well, I don't say across the board, but like it's happening very frequently where like instead of just like finding other avenues, they're just like cutting bait and just closing the studio and just like wiping their hands of it. Like I don't like that mentality. I feel like there should be at least I mean maybe there was. I don't know. I can't really speak for Sony because we don't know what happens behind closed doors, but at least the optics of it feels very like sudden and like like a last minute decision. 'Cause, like, it'd be one thing to say, "Oh," like, if they announced this in, like, December, "Oh, we're closing it in March." So that way they have enough time to, pack and stuff like that, so but now we learned about it this week, and now it's happening next month. So, I don't know. There's a lot that we don't know about, but at least from our perspective or from my perspective, this is just a really, like, silly decision, and I don't know. I feel like they could have done something better.
Yeah, I mean, we say that as consumers,
Yeah, there's only
we
so
don't
much we know.
see, yeah, we don't see the back end stuff and all the data that they have, but we can still think that was dumb.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. We have Asus is making some weird decisions over in the Japanese market. They have decided to increase the price of the ROG Xbox Ally X handheld by nearly $200. So the handheld in Japan costed 139,000 yen, which is roughly 913 US dollars. And they're going to increase that price by $196 to $1,109 total. So I think that would be what, just $100 more than what it is in the United States. How much is the ROG Ally X?
It's 9.99. Um,
Okay. So it's about $100 more in Japan now, according
Okay.
to the US model, which is, it's like, that's an insane price increase for the Japanese market, specifically when in the Japanese market that they rely on handhelds and smaller gaming factors. They don't, or PCs in general. They don't do consoles nearly as much as like the Americas or Europe. So
Right.
like to increase the price in that market, it's kind of like a slap in the face to the local Japanese gamers there.
Yeah. I mean, there has to be some like economic reasoning for this. I don't. It
But
just seems very.
it's probably the RAM prices.
It could be. Honestly, it could be. But then why wouldn't we see the price increase here?
Uh, I don't know. It's a good question. Maybe it's down the pipeline after this news. Who knows?
Could be. Yeah, we might be we might be pending that announcement. But yeah, I don't know. Well, we did hear that they would be increasing prices.
Yeah.
Um, but that I assume it was like just across the board of their devices. So this shouldn't come as too much as a surprise. It's just the rollout of it being in Japan first seems a little odd since I mean, I don't know what well, I guess maybe in Japan it's a little bit different. Like they're more of a mobile centric uh like gaming community where handhelds would thrive over there. So maybe that's why they did it first. I don't know. I'm trying to find like reason behind it. It's still not clicking.
Greed. The reason is greed.
Well, it is greed. Yes, it is greed.
They're
Um,
just raising the prices. They're not going to eat the price of like any increases from RAM or memory shortages. They're gonna pass it on, and it's just because they want more money. They're not gonna eat any of the pricing.
yeah, that's the unfortunate truth about the relationship between consumer and the company and or whatever you want to call them, corporation, that while they say that they have the consumer in mind whenever they make these decisions, they really don't. It's all about their bottom line, and they will always, like 99% of the time, will pass on the cost to the consumer. And guess what? The consumer will just pay it because that's what we do. That's what we do. We just consume. We don't I mean, we can whine and complain and bitch and moan and all that, but we still gonna pay it. So that's just how that's the reality of it. It sucks to admit it, but that's the reality.
We are the problem.
We are definitely the problem.
Oh man. I mean, I think even with our next article, when we talk about PlayStation, they had a big earnings call to talk about, how they're going to not raise prices on the consoles, on the current gen consoles, the PS5 hardware. So they're talking about monetizing the current install base. So the CFO Lin Tao addressed the current situation, stating that the company has secured the memory needed for the end of the year sales season in the next fiscal year. However, the company plans to minimize the impact of the rising RAM pricing by monetizing the install base they currently have. And that just means the software and network services is probably going to be increasing. So maybe PlayStation Plus will go up. Maybe things like less sales and just full price for everything. They're going to milk everything out of the PlayStation player base so that way they don't have to raise prices again. And I say again because or I think it was earlier last year, or yeah, I think it was early last year where they raised the prices on the Pro and all the other systems.
Yeah, they already anticipate that the costs are going to like I just said, or we just said that the cost
Yeah.
is definitely still going to be pushed on the consumer, but in Sony's case, they're doing it in a different way. They're going to, like you said, milk the consumer dry so that way they
Yeah.
don't have to raise prices. That means that they're gonna maybe not necessarily increase prices, but be more aggressive when it comes to monetization, like when it comes to
Oh,
DLC and Um, the like honestly, they might even start. Well, they've already done like the $10 upgrades and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
maybe they might do. Maybe honestly, if you wanna if I wanna make a bold prediction, they might even add day one games into PlayStation Plus for a fee.
Oh, I see. Like an extra tier that's more
S-
expensive with day
So
one.
no, not necessarily an extra tier. So like you have the PlayStation Plus tiers,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can get play day one PlayStation exclusive games or first party games, I should say,
Yeah.
for like an extra, I don't know, $20.
That is a
Instead
bold
of buying it
prediction.
instead of buying it separate, you can pay $20. You'll get it as long as you have PS Plus.
That's a bold prediction.
Yeah,
But I mean, listen, everything is on the table at this point because according to the article, the increasing PlayStation Plus subscription prices is on the table. So and we all know you need PlayStation Plus to play multiplayer games. So people would just say whatever and take the hit and just pay it. So they're just everything's on the table.
yeah.
Everything's on the table.
I definitely think that PlayStation Plus is going to be the first like avenue to milk the consumer and kind of like recoup as much as possible before they move on to like other stuff and maybe raising game prices. I doubt they would do that, but I don't know. Who knows? Freaking Nintendo raised the price of Switch games just on a whim. It wasn't even like it was a Switch game. It's not even like the Switch 2 version. Like, no, it was freaking Tears of the Kingdom was $70 just because. So who's to say that Sony doesn't do the same thing? It's like, oh, just because, why not? It's $80 now. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things can happen. We all know we always hear that joke, Sony's for the payers, and it's coming to fruition for real. They're gonna be
Yes.
paying more, and I feel like not just Sony players. I feel like a lot of players across all different avenues, whether you're on PC, whether you're on Nintendo, Xbox, or Sony, you're gonna be paying more, and that's not just because these companies are greedy, but because of Rampocalypse.
Yeah. That's the unfortunate reality of the situation that a lot of things are going to be affected by this when it comes down to it, it's all like the AI stuff. Like that's really what's causing the spike in cost for things. And now we're seeing it, and we're seeing it across the board on everything. Everything's going up. And yeah, I don't know what the solution would be, at least in this instance with the RAM.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know like some companies are starting to start like reintroduce older like GPUs and older brands of RAM just to kind of like offset it. But now those are technically um uppriced or they have their price inflated because of it. So
Yeah.
like I don't know. It's just there's a lot of like stuff in flux right now, and everybody's trying to figure out what's the best solution for it, and we haven't found it yet.
The best solution for it is for them to stop building AI data centers like crazy and get back to just having the RAM go to because the RAM is in everything.
Yeah.
You get RAM in refrigerators and TVs and cell phones and computers. That's in everything. So everything's gonna eventually gonna go up. These all these companies make RAM and they have all these products that need RAM, not just for computers or gaming, but for everything. And now prices are just gonna continue going up. So I think really what we need to look at is to stop with the AI data center, stop with they need to stop trading these billions of dollars between the companies and just get back to reality. Because once I feel like the AI bubble, once it pops, the economy is gonna crash and it's just gonna be really bad.
Yeah, that's the sad thing about it. It's like we know everything that's gonna happen, and yet it doesn't seem to phase them. Like, they're just grinding it to the ground, and we're just seeing it happen right in front of our eyes. But they're not stopping. They just keep going. They keep digging this hole that eventually it's gonna get better, but I don't think that's gonna happen. There's no signs of things getting any better anytime soon. But they're gonna keep doing it because they've spent too much. It's the sunk cost fallacy. They spent too much money in investing in AI and stuff like that that it has to succeed. Otherwise, we're gonna see layoffs on the scale like we've never seen before, and companies are gonna like severely downsize in
Yeah.
terms of their profits and revenue and all that stuff. So like they don't want to do that, but I feel like that's what's that's what it's gonna take before we start seeing actual change. And especially
If
for a company like for instance like Microsoft, like they're hell bent on making AI like profitable. And I feel like it's gonna come to a head where we're gonna see a lot of layoffs coming soon. Maybe not soon, but like it's gonna come, and it's gonna be higher than we've ever seen before. Because now they gotta downsize. They gotta find that money somewhere.
oof. Oh man. That just sounds terrible.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's the
Let's
truth.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I guess we'll move on from the doom and gloom to news from Nintendo. So earlier this week they announced that on February 27th, the Pokemon Company announced that February 27th, which is Pokemon Day, there will be a special presentation airing that morning, and they announced that Fire Red and Leaf Green will be coming out for the Switch and the Switch 2, and they will cost $20 each. And you can it's a download only title, so there's no physical release at this time. The time of the recording, we don't know about in the future, but they will do a presentation that Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and then after that presentation, the games will be available where you can purchase it on the Nintendo eShop. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna buy. I'll be honest, I'm gonna buy Fire Red. I'm gonna buy it. I know the controversy. I want to hear your points before I get into it. Talk to
I'm
me
not
about
so
this.
okay. Here's my thing. If you see the value, or not you in particular, but like if somebody sees the value in spending the $20 to play their favorite Pokemon game um on like the latest hardware or whatever. And mind you, this does come with, it's not just like a strict port. It does come with Pokemon Home support, so that way you can take those Pokemon to other Pokemon games with you. So like that is a plus, which is something that hasn't been able to be done. Well, no, I think, what were you able to? Yeah, you were able to from Fire Red and Leaf Green, but at least not with the original like Red and Blue
Yeah.
and gold and silver. I think you weren't able to. But this is technically the Gen 1, so like people can get their Gen 1 Pokemon into home and onto other Pokemon games and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
like there is some benefit to this. I think what people have an issue with is just that it seems very low effort. Like, I know when we first heard about this rumor that they were gonna do it, at least some of the rumors that I saw was that it was gonna be a full-on remake. Like, it was gonna do it again, kinda similar to, what they did with Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, where it's like
Okay.
that's Gen 1, but, like, in a different way, but this one was gonna be a more traditional remake, where it was gonna be Fire Red and Leaf Green as they were, but just, like, changed, updated to make it look like more modern. But now we saw it's literally just the original game on an emulator in on this for the Switch 2 and Switch. So it's like if it feels very low effort, and if you really wanted to play these games, you can play them. Like, there was literally nothing stopping you from playing it already. So I think that's where the breakdown becomes apparent, where it's like, oh, I get to finally play these old games I've been dying. Like, I've seen that a lot. I finally get to play these old games that I've been dying to play, or like I wasn't able to play. I don't have my Game Boy Advance anymore, all that stuff. And actually, it's funny because that actually happened at my job. Like, I was talking to a coworker about it. He saw the news. He's like, "Oh, Fire Red and Leaf Green coming on Switch," and he's like, "I'm gonna buy that shit." And I was like, you could just play it on your phone right now." He's like, "For real?" And so I showed him because he has an iPhone, and I was like, "Yeah, you can download the Delta emulator, just get the ROM, and then you can play it right now." And I showed him how to do it, and then he was playing it, and he was like, "Oh crap, I didn't even know you could do that." And I was like, "Yeah, a lot of people don't know you could do that." So that's the whole point. That's why Nintendo has been so like against emulation, even though emulation is legal. They've been fighting tooth and nail to make sure that people don't know that they can do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's where the issue comes into play, where yes, it's cool that you can do it. Is it worth $20? And that's gonna differ from person to person. So for me, I don't think it's worth it. But to others, maybe it is. Who knows?
I'm gonna tell you from my point of view, right? Because
Okay.
I have Dolphin emulator on my PC. I got the Delta. I got everything I need on my phone to be able to do it.
Yeah.
It's not an issue. It's not about if I can't play it. I can, but I'll get some use out of my Switch 2 now because I barely touch it. You know, so I'll actually get to play it, and I'll be able to play on the big screen. So it's more of like it's convenient for me. Sure, it's $20 extra. And the other side to the whole big controversy is that there's a Game Boy emulator, Game Boy Advance emulator, already on the Nintendo Switch 2 Online expansion pack. Why not
Yeah.
just put it into the expansion pack? That way it's everybody who has Nintendo Switch Online, the expansion pack, can just play it. No, you have to purchase it separately. So that's also another like big thing that people are pointing out. They're like, oh, if you pay for it now, you're dumb. But I've seen reports online already saying that it's number one in this Nintendo eShop for pre-order. So people are either like you said, they don't know that you can emulate, or they don't care. They want it where they want it, and they're gonna buy it no matter what. So it is what it is. I
Yeah.
I'm with that the firm belief, like, it's your money, do what you want with it. We can, make fun of you if we want. I mean, you're gonna make fun of me because I'm gonna buy Fire Red on the Switch too. But it is what it is. It's $20. Some people spend more of that on lunch for one day.
That's
You
true.
know, I'm gonna spend $20 once. I'm gonna enjoy some Switch 2 games. Something I haven't done even since I got in it. I played Donkey Kong Bonanza, but that's about it. Nothing else. So like I'll have another game that I could play and enjoy my console and have some fun with it. And that's really the core part of it. I just want to have fun with games. No matter where I play it at, whether it's on my PC with the emulators or on my Nintendo Switch 2. So it is what it is.
Yeah. I think what the issue is too is that a lot of people are like defending it. And I mean, as I've been in that situation. I literally just mentioned earlier that I always buy the
Yeah.
WWE games that like they're mostly the same thing every year, but I buy it and stuff like that because that's my thing or whatever. But I admit to that. I know that I'm doing that, like, to I guess maybe not to my own detriment. I do enjoy the games, but it's like I know what I'm getting when I buy it, and maybe I'm overspending, but I still enjoy it and I see the worth in it for me personally. As long as somebody understands what they're getting into with this and what they're spending their money on, if it's worth it to them, that's fine, but you have to understand it. You have to understand why other people wouldn't, and I think that's the problem. A lot of people don't wanna admit that what they're doing is part of a problem. Because it is. Like, this is a problem that, like, most people, they're overpaying for stuff. But as long as you acknowledge that, and it, like you said, it's their money, then who cares? Like, that's their money to spend. And I know people will argue, say, "Oh, but if they do that, then they're gonna support it, and then Nintendo gets the wrong message that they can get away with it." They're gonna do it regardless. And then this is Nintendo we're talking about. They're gonna they're gonna nickel and dime you no matter what. That's what they've been doing for decades. So what, not buying this out of protest is not going to send them any kind of message, because they've already calculated what this is going to cost, like, and what kind of backlash it would. They've done all that. So whatever protests or backlash they would receive from this is not going to matter. So just let people enjoy the thing. Let them buy their game. If they want to spend the $20, let them spend the $20. You don't got to spend the $20. That's fine. So, but that's it. So I see both sides, but, like, it's not really a right or wrong thing. It's more of just like an acknowledgement that, like, yeah, this is probably not what would be best, what you should spend the money on. But if you got it, you got it. Like, fine. We probably shouldn't be buying fast food, but we do it anyway. So who cares?
Now I feel judged, hella judged. That's crazy.
No, listen, like, like you said, it's your money, so you spend it. Many times I've wasted my money on stuff that I'm just like, damn, I probably shouldn't have done that, but I did it, and I will continue to do it. So
It's, you know what it
I
is? It's the
acknowledge that.
little
I accept it.
it's the little things in life that get us through the day. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you gotta, like, boil it down to. Like, sure, Rampocalypse is happening. A lot of things are going on in the world that we don't agree with right now, and this is gonna bring me just a little bit extra happiness for a little bit, and I'm gonna
That's
spend the
fine.
$20, so I'm gonna do it.
If it makes you happy, man, you do what makes you happy.
Thanks,
'Cause
man.
that's what I will do when the WWE games comes out, so
And yours is worse. Yours is like
mine is worth
$70.
not even. I spent I bought
You
the
do the
highest.
$100 version?
I did the $150 version.
All right. Who are you to look at
Oh,
me for
you
spending
know, I
$20 in this?
literally just said I acknowledge that what I'm doing is probably silly, but I like it, so that's it.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Now that you say it out loud, it just makes, it's even better.
I know.
All right, let's get to the last bit of news, but certainly probably the most important of the gaming news. This past Friday, we got some major shakeup within Microsoft. Phil Spencer retires as the CEO of Microsoft Gaming, and Asha Sharma, she is now the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming, and a major leadership reshuffle over at Microsoft, which I think it caught everybody by surprise.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely everybody. Especially during this year, which is the 25th year anniversary of Xbox. Nobody expected this to happen. So we get a big send off from everybody all over the internet for Phil Spencer, and we also get some news about who is taking his place, and also some more shakeups, like Sarah Bond is resigning. Matt Booty is they say elevated to executive vice president and chief content officer, who will report directly to the new CEO, Asha. And it's a quite a big shakeup, and it sort of was like the only news everybody was talking about, particularly in the gaming circle. It was just like the biggest thing to happen. Also complete surprise. I was shocked when I found out. I was at work and I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, same. I was like, "This is not real."
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, just a little bit of background. Phil Spencer has been with Microsoft for 38 years. He interned at Microsoft in 1988, the year I was born.
Oh,
He
geez.
Yes, he entered at Microsoft in 1988, and he sort of just grew within the ranks all the way up to the CEO of Microsoft, and it's been a very long and impactful career at Microsoft, and he's been along the ride for everything from the red rings on the 360 to the disastrous Don Matrick Xbox One launch, all the way
Yeah.
to bringing about the series consoles, ABK purchases, and everything that's happened in between. It's been a career that I personally believe is, I don't- like we hear about CEOs, leaving jobs all the time. I don't think that this particular post of Phil Spencer resigning ever sort of like no other CEO post of resigning has affected what we think about gaming culture or our lives personally. And this was like, wow, during this 25th year anniversary, we don't have Phil Spencer anymore.
Yeah. It's definitely something that a lot of people, while they anticipated he was gonna retire soon, I don't think
Yeah.
anybody thought it was gonna happen this soon. Um, and that's one thing that, because I remember, it was like in an interview around, I think it was like last year or something like that, where I think it was Destin Legary who was he interviewed Phil, and they were talking about retirement and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and he said something along the lines that he was like preparing for it, like it's gonna happen eventually, but now we see it. But honestly, I wonder, like, because suppose so obviously they had like prepared statements and stuff like that. Um, Phil mentioned that it was sometime in November that he was thinking about retiring soon. And one thing that I find it odd was like, you would think that, like you said, it's the 25th anniversary for Xbox, and you would think he would ride it out until at least that. And then he can like retire in grace and everybody will be fine with it. They would understand. I wonder, and then I don't see anybody talking about this. And maybe this is just like my not really morbid mind or something like that, but like, cuz I saw somebody talking about the Vince Zampella stuff, and like that was like the last time that they saw Phil before this retirement announcement. And it made me wonder, like, I wonder, because I know I would kind of feel the same way, where like I wonder if he saw what happened with Vince and thought to himself, like, what am I waiting for? Like, time, like, your time can be up at any point. So it's like he probably saw that and was just like, you know what? I want to be with my family. Like, I'm not gonna like finish off this whole thing. Like, what is that even for? Like, it's literally just I'm a figurehead at that point. So it's like, if they're ready to move on to this next person who they deem is ready, then why am I even here? Like, why am I wasting my time? I want to spend as much time with my family. And like, I don't know. I feel like that had something to do with it, because if it definitely feels very sudden.
Yeah.
Um, so I think maybe there was something that triggered him to do it sooner rather than later. Obviously, I don't know anything about like what he thinks, how he feels, obviously, but I don't know. It just seems like something happened that could have kind of like set off the light bulb that's like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna do it now instead of doing it later. Because I know everybody was anticipating it later, or like maybe even seeing the launch of the next gen Xbox and then dipping out. But yeah, no, like this is Phil Spencer has been synonymous with Xbox for such a long time. Even before he became like the head of Xbox and then CEO, he was on the stage during the what was it, the Xbox One showcase or whatever.
No, the 360 event.
Well, well
Even
the
even even back then,
well
he was
yeah,
on the
because he
stage.
was head
Yeah,
of Xbox Studios.
yeah,
But I remember that the first time I became aware of who Phil Spencer was during the Xbox when they announced it, when they announced the Xbox One, that
yeah.
disaster of a show. But the one silver lining was when Phil Spencer came out and was just like, tune into E3, we're gonna have a lot more games there, we promise, and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, so like this is just to show off the console. They're not really focused on the games. Now at E3 is where the games will be. And that was the first time where I was just like, okay, so and then they did. They showed off the games at E3 and that was the first time where I was like, okay, I like this guy. He kind of like stuck to his word or whatever. And then slowly but surely, we all saw what happened with the Xbox One stuff when it got announced. Don Matrick got the axe, and then Phil Spencer just swooped in. And yeah, and then ever since then, like he's been the main reason why Xbox is still around today.
Yeah.
Obviously, it hasn't been the best, like
I mean,
turn
nothing's
of
perfect,
events.
right?
Yeah, nothing's perfect. Like obviously there was room for improvement, but I mean, he said it himself in one of the kind of funny interviews where he was just like they lost the worst generation to lose. So like
Yeah.
there was not much he can do to basically turn things around. Like people were set in their libraries, they were set on their platform of choice, and they were not going to budge. And I think it's most likely because of backwards compatibility, which is it's funny because that was something that Xbox was kind of championing for a while. That was like a big edge for them as opposed to PlayStation because uh even though the Xbox One and PS4 weren't backwards compatible, Xbox made it backwards compatible with the 360, and they were able to get that, and that was such a huge win for Xbox. But because people already made that transition, it was kind of like a little too late because people weren't going to just switch to Xbox just because they could play their 360 games. Like it was just like, okay, that's nice. That should have been there at launch. But it was still a big deal. And to this day, it's still a big deal.
Yeah.
Because you still can't play PS3 games on any PlayStation console, PS4, PS5, nothing. Um, so yeah. So he was the the beacon of like hope, I guess you can say, for
Yeah.
Xbox for a long time. And then, once the Series X launched and there was a lot of turbulation, um a lot of people began to turn on him, and I I never understood why people were so harsh on him. And not to defend like everything that he's done, because obviously he's a suit. So and that's one thing too. A lot of people have, at least on the Xbox side, they have a lot of like and I've seen this online too, where they have like a parasocial relationship with these executives. Like at the end of the day, they're still a corporation. They're still executives that are gonna care for their bottom line. The difference with Phil Spencer though is that, at least from a visual, like an optics perspective, he seemed to genuinely care. He was trying. It felt like he was actually trying with every interview, with every showcase. It seemed like he cared. And maybe that's just he's just a good actor. I don't know, or he has a good PR team or whatever the case may be. But at least from my perspective, it felt like he cared. And you can see whenever there was like a tough thing to talk about, he took it head on and he was able to kind of like steer through that and navigate through that where it didn't feel like it was just a canned response. Like he was very honest, uh, to a fault sometimes, where especially like when the whole Redfall thing happened and Starfield getting delayed, the people were on his ass and they were not letting up, and he was like he did it and he went on interviews and he talked about it and he was honest. So I definitely commend him for sticking around through all of that, because it would have been very easy for him to just walk away and be like, you know what, I'm not dealing with this. but he cared and he stuck around and he was able to weather the storm. And then obviously the whole multi-platform strategy was like another kind of like black eye for him that he had to kind of wear and he had to try and navigate through. And ultimately, I think he did the best he could given the the strategy that Microsoft was trying to impose on the Xbox brand, which was like multi-platform. You gotta increase revenue, all that stuff. I mean, granted, he did convince Satya to invest in Xbox, and that was something that was a huge deal that nobody really gives him credit for too, because Xbox could have been shuttered a long time ago, multiple times actually. I remember in interviews he said there was one time with with Satya, and then the other time right before he took over, which I guess was Satya as well. He convinced him to not shutter Xbox and to instead invest in it, and that's how we got Game Pass, and that's how we got the studio acquisitions and all that stuff. Like we got that because of Phil Spencer. So I don't want people to think that he just didn't do anything. Like he did so much for Xbox that nobody really acknowledges anymore. And without Phil Spencer, there would be no Xbox. Xbox would have been long gone, and we would have been all been on maybe something. Maybe somebody else would have jumped in. Maybe Apple or Amazon would have jumped in to kind of pick up the scraps. But um, yeah, no, Xbox would have been a distant memory if Phil Spencer wasn't there. So it's Xbox as a brand is definitely going to feel the blow of his departure and retirement, but hopefully there is the next one that's in charge is Asha Sharma. Maybe she can kind of, because Phil is sticking around for a little
Yeah,
bit.
through the summer, they say.
Yeah, so he's gonna be like in a consulting role and kind of like guiding her into, taking over fully. So it's like he's not gone 100%. He's gone like maybe like 70%. And he's gonna be around for like through, yeah, you said through the summer. He'll probably still make appearances. I do expect him to still make like an appearance on the showcase and whatever they have for planned for the 25th anniversary. I'm sure they're gonna do something for that. So I do think he'll be around, but obviously he's not making the calls anymore. So,
Yes.
yeah, he's definitely gonna be missed, and I don't think there's been any other executive for any platform holder that has been so vital to like a brand, to the
Yeah.
Xbox brand as Phil Spencer. Because I don't think you can say that like this about anybody else. Maybe uh I'm trying to think, maybe like Andrew House from PlayStation.
No.
No, not
No.
really.
What's the one from Nintendo? His name was Bowser.
Oh,
His
Doug Bowser. He
Doug
didn't really
Bowser.
do anything. Like,
But that's the thing. Like, I
no,
think
it's
he's
another
the
one.
only
Is
one who could come
no,
even a little bit close to that sort of like level.
I think no, I think granted it's on a different scale, but like
Yeah,
Reggie
yeah,
Fils-Aimé for Nintendo, I felt like it was synonymous. Like you knew him. Like once he showed up, like even though Nintendo's gonna Nintendo, he still made it seem like okay, like I feel good about what they're doing.
yeah.
It may not be for everybody, and it may not be the best thing, but they're trying. At least he was. It felt like, but again, it's a different scale.
Yeah. Now I wanna say something because we're in this business right now because we're gamers, you know? That's
Yeah.
what we do. We play video games. And I've been playing video games for as long as I can remember. I've had about nearly every single system that's ever come out. If you go
Damn.
all the way back into Nintendo, the NES, all the way up until today, I've had almost every single system, including Sega Dreamcast, the original Sega. We're talking Sega CD, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, 64, GameCube. You name it all, I've had it. Right.
Yeah.
I've had all the PlayStations 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Shout out to brother Jay for PS4. Because he gave me his old PS4.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, I've had every single system, including all the Xboxes. I've never felt though that they all like any system in general had built sort of like a community as much as Xbox did for me. I've met some lifelong friends on Xbox that we still talk to today. It was some of my friends right now. We've met 10, 11 years. They met when my son was only 2 years old.
Oh
My
wow.
son is 13 now. So I've met lifelong friends. I've met some strange people who we still talk to today. It has brought the world into my living room, and it is Xbox. I'm talking about Xbox in general has transformed the way I see gaming and the way I see the world in general, all from a console. And sure, they've had different leaderships, and this may not I directly to Phil, but I feel like without his direction, none of that may have happened.
Yeah.
He helped the 360 through the red rings. He helped Xbox One out of the gutter and into what we now know with the series consoles and everything. So without his direction, I don't think I would have had that sort of home. That's why I am an Xbox fan, and that's why I play mainly on my Xbox, is because I have that home, and I've never felt that with any console growing up, even consoles that I love. Like I love the GameCube, but I never felt it, the same way I felt about Xbox. And that's I think a tribute to the leadership at Phil Spencer that he, brought in with him. And I don't know what the future will hold for Xbox. I have hope that it will continue to be good, and that they will do good with for gamers, and when it talks about just bringing good video games to the Xbox platform, and I just hope that it continues to do that.
Yeah. So I'm be honest. When this first broke out and we talking in the group chat or whatever, I said it. This is the first time where I felt like I know we see jokes online about Xbox being dead or stuff like that. It was the first time I felt like, oh shit, I think Xbox is actually dead. And it wasn't because of Phil Spencer retiring. It was mostly because of Sarah Bond leaving as
Yeah.
well. And that's something that caught everybody off guard because, yeah, we kind of knew Phil was leaving soon. Maybe not as soon, but, he's up there. He's 58 years old. Like, he was going to leave soon. But Sarah resigning in tandem is very odd and suspicious. Um, I don't, I don't know if this was something that was planned. Or obviously it was planned, but I don't know how far in advance because there was a post on it was on LinkedIn where she was talking about Xbox and stuff like that the day of, earlier in the day. And then we find out that she's actually leaving and she's resigning. So I wonder, like, do you think it was that sudden where she found out with everybody else? Or maybe it was kinda just timed that way where, yeah, maybe she found out, like, a week ago, and, now is just when the announcement happened.
It's also ominous, it's like
Yeah.
what happened, because personally I liked Sarah Bond. She was thrusted into the spotlight by Phil, sort of like, he was the mentor to try and her to take over, so her not taking over is very concerning.
Yeah. I do wonder, like, cause it for a long time, for years, we all just assumed that she was gonna take over.
Yeah.
And every time that she, like, showed her face in an interview, on a showcase or whatever, she basically, like it was kinda like, it was like tempering not tempering expectations, but, like, setting everybody up that, like, this is the future Xbox CEO. When Phil's gone, this is the next leader. And everybody just accepted it because, like, she's a good orator, she knows how to talk, she knows how she has a presence to her, and maybe she's not like the biggest gamer, but at least she knows games and she talks about games a lot. But everybody was under the assumption that she was gonna take over, and then she didn't. So I wonder if this was kind of like reactionary on her part when she found out that she wasn't gonna be the one to take over, that she was just like, all right, then I'm out.
It's definitely hard to hear. I really wanted her to be able to take over, and to be the top dog, you know. I think everybody, like you said, everybody thought that. I do know she has other ventures, and she's,
Yeah.
um like she's on the board of directors at Tyson Chicken, like who like she's gonna be fine, you know.
Yeah.
I really thought that she was gonna be that next Phil Spencer, especially with all her work with the console hardware side of things and bringing about the new generation of hardware. So I just I have hope that things will be okay. I don't think Xbox is dead. Obviously, no, it's not. My Xbox is right there. It's working perfectly fine. But I do have hope that things will be okay. Um, I
I
just it's just all so surprising.
yeah. I'm in the same boat with you. Maybe I was doom and gloom in the beginning.
Yeah. I did
But
the same thing. So yeah.
yeah, so I think it's gonna be alright for now. The thing that's gonna matter most is the follow through. So going back to Sarah for a second, hold on, I was gonna say something, I forgot.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no, it's fine. Um, so I do wonder if Sarah, with Sarah leaving, because one thing that I remember, I think it was a Bloomberg article, that it came out that apparently her and Phil were not on the best of terms for a long time. And they actually butted heads a lot, so much to the point where they had to go to like counseling and stuff like that, and to better cooperate together. Um,
Really?
yeah, I remember, and I was shocked by that because I was like, you would never think that like these two people would be at odds with each other. Um, and I remember seeing that, and I was like, oh, that's not good. But yeah, and it was Sarah Bond who kind of opened up about that. And I do wonder if her leaving was more of uh like a polite way, similar to how um what is it, well, I guess it was a different situation with Jim Ryan, where he was kind of like he retired, but it was kind of like a forced retirement. I do wonder if they kind of like ousted her by not giving her the position, because based on what that article said, I wonder if she was at least to other executives at Microsoft, maybe including Satya, um, if she was more of a nuisance. Because, like, there's a lot of people, and she sparks me as the type to be outspoken in her convictions and stuff like that. Obviously, I don't know her personally, but I feel like she was the one to, like, kinda, like, tell you how she feels. And when that article came out, I was just like, "Okay, so maybe that's what it was." Maybe she was a little too honest about her opinions and stuff like that, that it rubbed people the wrong way. And I wonder if that was one of the reasons why she wasn't chosen, that they gave it to Asha, and as a way to kinda like, "Okay, we're not gonna give it to you, so you can go away now." And that's what she did. Because it feels very odd that she would leave at this time. Like, maybe if it happened a little bit after this, after Phil resigns and Asha takes over and Matt Booty gets the promotion, or maybe Matt Booty got the promotion because Sarah Bond left. But I wonder if that was the whole purpose of it, that because she was seen as difficult to work with, quote unquote, maybe that's why they got rid of her, or not got rid of her, but forced her into leaving. I don't know. Maybe that's conspiracy mind me
Yeah,
talking, but
it sounds
um,
like conspiracy, mind you.
it just feels like that, you know? Like, I've been in situations like that where, like, there's always that one person that everybody doesn't like for some reason, and they're always getting picked on and stuff like that, in terms of, like, not like bullying, but, like, they get the harsher treatment, you know?
Yeah.
But some of it is warranted, some of it is not. We don't know Sarah personally, so we can't really tell, but I don't know. All this is very odd for it to be happening the way it has. So, I don't know. We'll see. And one thing too, that one more thing that I was reminded of is that Sarah was the one who was pushing for the multi-platform strategy. And I don't know if that means, we're gonna see less of that now, but I don't think so. But maybe that could have been it. Maybe there w because of the whole multi-platform strategy causing so much damage to the brand, maybe that was one of the reasons why they kinda ousted her or whatever. I don't know. I'm just spitballing because I feel like there has to be some motive, and we'll probably find out later on, like,
Yeah.
what happened. She's probably gonna
Well,
do, like, an interview, or maybe a Bloomberg
yeah.
article will come out.
At one point, she's gonna spill the beans of exactly what's going on, so we'll definitely find out.
Yes, and, yeah. Well, so I guess we can, like, wrap it up with one more thing with Asha, the new
Yeah.
CEO.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about her and all the stuff that's been happening?
Oh boy. Um, I'll be honest. She was the so they claimed that she was the head of or VP at Instacart, as well as she was a uh head of AI at Meta. You know, I don't think that she has to be a gamer in order to help run a gaming company, because you could look at 2K. They have some crazy games that come out that sell well, and that their CEO has they don't he doesn't play games. Strauss, he doesn't play games. He doesn't even plan to play GTA 6 when that comes out. So like that sort of sentiment with the community, like, oh, she doesn't even play games, how could she run a gaming company? That doesn't necessarily mean you need to play games in order to run the business side of things, you know? And I think her major role coming into Xbox is to sort of streamline everything so that way they have a better chance to continue to grow. She helped grow Instacart, she helped grow Meta. So I think it's all about making Xbox more. As you know, we've had Microsoft Gaming in general has been around longer than Windows has been around. You know, Flight Simulator came out before Windows came out. So gaming is a big part, whether people like it or not, out of Microsoft. You know, so I think that she just wants to come in, work with the studios that we currently have here at Xbox, and try to make better content, try to uh make people realize that Xbox is the place to play. And we'll see how the transition of her just coming in to her changing things and how that goes. We all know, you know, people come in and change things as they see them fit to better the business, and that's what we have to sit here and think. Yeah, we're consumers of this, we're just, you know, playing our games, but there's a whole business side that still needs to be taken care of, and I think that's what she's going to be focusing on, and that is why she promoted Matt Booty to be the executive vice president and chief content officer, because her partnership with Matt Booty will guide games. And even her statements herself on Twitter were like, we're all about, you know, making great games still. And sort of sentiment of what Phil Spencer has always said, especially these last few years, about making great games. So that's why I sort of have hope for her tenure as CEO of Microsoft Gaming, and we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are being excessively harsh on her because obviously she's new. So you obviously whenever somebody and then she's filling no pun intended, she's filling the shoes of Phil. um that and those are big shoes to fill. So it's like
Yeah.
it's gonna be tough to kind of match up to what Phil Spencer has done for
Mhm.
Xbox. And it doesn't help that she doesn't come from a gaming background or anything like that. And a lot of people are being freaking weird and digging into her gamer tags and like past stuff that she's said and all that. And it's getting very uncomfortable with how much people are dissecting everything about this woman that they
Yeah.
just found out exist a day ago, 2 days ago. So
Yeah.
it's like it's so weird, and I hate when the gaming community does that. Well, I would say gaming community fanboys. Like let's be honest.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
it's fanboys that do that weird shit.
It is the
Um
loud minority on
yes,
Twitter that's
it
doing it.
it definitely is. I'm I'm going into this with an open mind. I'm not gonna make any assumptions about her, positive or negative. I think she's saying a lot of the right things, but that can also be just lip service. Um, Actions will speak louder than words, obviously. So I
Yeah.
think it's too early to say which way or another this is gonna go. I think anybody making assumptions about how she's gonna lead is being stupid because they don't know how to run a company. So it's like, why would you listen to some rando on Twitter that's gonna say that she's gonna run it into the ground? Like,
Yeah.
and that's another thing too that always got me about the whole like, oh, she's not a gamer. It's like, okay, I get it. Phil Spencer, it helped that he was a gamer, but the qualifications to be a CEO of any company is not that you have to partake in the stuff that you're running. It helps, but it's not a requirement. And the fact that she's saying that she wants to learn, the fact that she has played games or is playing games currently, um, should be a sign that she's going into this with an open mind and trying to gain the knowledge that she needs. Maybe could they have found somebody better that would fit? I don't know. We don't know who was a candidate to take over after Phil. Obviously Sarah, but I mean, I already said how I feel about her. Well, not how I feel about her, but how maybe the company felt about her. So maybe she wasn't really a candidate, at least in the higher ups' eyes. So who else is there? And I think maybe there was some like I don't wanna say nepotism, but, like, maybe she just knew the right people, you know? So, like, that's usually how it goes. But that doesn't necessarily make her or invalidate her expertise. All she has to do is make sure that she can facilitate the continuing growth of the Xbox brand. That is doing what will make devs happy, what will make engineers happy, what will make execs happy, and what will make gamers happy. She doesn't have to be a gamer herself to do all that. So
Yeah.
I think that's what people are missing with this whole aspect. Like she doesn't have to do all that stuff herself. She just has to know how to do that stuff. Like if she can pay attention to what the community is asking for and like the landscape of gaming as a whole, then she can put into place what is necessary to accomplish that. Will it be successful? Time will tell. Will she make mistakes? Most likely. Everybody does. So I don't think it's fair to judge her by what she's done or what she has said or in the past and stuff like that. So and then the whole AI stuff, like I think she said it in an interview, like AI is everywhere. So it's like we can fight against it all we want, but at this point, it's better to have somebody who can navigate the AI stuff easier than to have somebody that's against it because you're gonna be fighting an uphill battle, especially in Microsoft. So it's beneficial to have somebody who has knowledge of like all the AI stuff so that way they know how to implement it. Because like let's be honest, like there are as anti AI as everybody seems to be, there are definitely beneficial uses of it. Particular, just like make streamlining, like at least in gaming aspects, like streamlining development, making things a lot easier to do, getting rid of mundane tasks and coding and all that stuff. AI can help with that and speed up development, because what's the biggest issue right now in gaming is that games take too fucking long to develop. So if AI can speed that process up and make it go from 7 years to 6 years or even 5 years, that's great. That's progress, and that's something that we need um to embrace. But it's like a lot of people tend to group AI into like everything about AI is bad, but that's not the truth. So I think having somebody with that background is beneficial, especially too because we do know the next Xbox hardware is gonna have AI, an AI chip in it, the AI MPU, just like the ROG Ally, the Xbox Ally. So I think it's more beneficial than it is a detriment, and people are just not seeing the forest from the trees in this. Um, but yeah, time will tell. Like I said, she's saying the right things, but actions speak louder than words, and I hope that she knows what she's doing. And all of this that a lot of people are not really acknowledging much is like Matt Booty, that he got another promotion. And he's kind of like the last vestige of the old guard, as I guess we could say, of Xbox, that is still around, and he's still rising the ranks. Um, and for anybody that like is like questioning it, we found out in the FTC trial that Matt Booty was one of the ones who was against the multi-platform strategy, and he said it himself in no short and no, what's the term? I forget. Anyway, he said it that he wanted to spend PlayStation out of business. And that was like in 2021, I think it was. I don't remember. But not that long ago. So maybe he might have that fighting spirit that I think Asha was hinting at, that she wanted Xbox to get back into that mindset, that renegade spirit um that they used to have. And that was something that a lot of people were critical of Phil Spencer, that he was too kumbaya, he was too nice, and we can all get together and have fun and stuff like that. And that's nice on paper, but like it's not really reality when Sony is doing everything they can to make sure that people do not buy Xbox. So maybe we'll see a return to that. I don't know what that means. Maybe it might be like less day one games on PlayStation and more like timed exclusives, similar to how like PlayStation does with their PC ports. Um, I don't know. We'll see what that means later, I guess. But yeah, so I hope for the best, and yeah, we'll see what happens with if Xbox is still around.
Yeah, we'll see. And that's all the news we have, man. It
was
wasn't a lot, but we had a lot to discuss.
Yeah, it was a big thing that we had to talk about. So, and we kind of knew that it was going to take up the bulk of the episode anyway. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that is it for us, guys. Remember, if you're listening to us on a podcasting app, you can share us and rate us, and yeah, that would be nice, and we would enjoy that very much. If you're listening to or watching us on YouTube, you can like, comment, and subscribe, and look in the description. You can see our sponsors, W Energy, NordVPN, and if you spend some, or if you can save some money on products and services, that would be very nice. And it'll be good for us, and be good for you, be good for everybody. That's it. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace out.